Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight in our news.
Passengers and taxi drivers react to another day of travel chaos.
The National Security Minister responds to Canada's travel advisory on the Bahamas.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight. Holiday travel chaos continued at Lynden Pinling International Airport last night, angering travelers who experienced significant delays that officials say were the result of increased traffic, bad weather, and other factors including malfunctioning runway lights. With LPIA seeing more than 6,200 international arrivals today, travelers, as well as taxi and livery drivers, are sounding off on the hellish travel conditions over the last 2 weeks. Jasmine Brown has all the details in this report.
Operations here at the Lynden Pinling International Airport were pretty much back to normal this morning, but that didn't stop some taxi drivers and passengers from telling us about the chaos over the last few days. When our news team visited LPIA today, the crowd had pretty much cleared up, with many of the passengers telling us their flights appeared to be on time. It was a far cry from the chaos reported at the airport last night. The nation's flag carrier was one of the airlines hardest hit, with airline officials advising that due to weather-related challenges, air traffic control held a number of flights on the ground. Over in the nation's second city, Bahamas Air's Flight 320 had to return to Freeport after holding in the air for 35 minutes. This video of irate passengers claiming to be on that flight was widely circulated on social media.
They can deplane us as soon as somebody dies.
No, this is ridiculous.
As soon as somebody dies, they're gonna deplane us. This Bahamas Air, y'all. This Bahamas Air flight that's supposed to leave Freeport at 11:25.
And they can't go down there.
Tell them how we turn around. We was hovering over Nassau.
Hovering over Nassau.
Turn around, come back.
Come back to Freeport.
Those passengers who clamored to the open door of the plane were vocal about the almost unbearable conditions, some even begging to be let off the plane.
They left the plane, turned the plane off with the plane full of people, no air condition. It's getting claustrophobic and they telling us we can't come off the plane. This Bahamas Air, y'all.
Hello, I gotta go. We gotta go. We have to come out.
I never had this happen before in my life.
This is ridiculous.
Go right there, honey. Come right behind you.
Absolutely ridiculous. Kids on the plane.
Back here in New Providence, American Airlines passenger John Stewart was one of several thousand people arriving from international destinations today.
I was a little apprehensive. I saw the press release by Bahamas Air. I anticipated that there would be some delay. I wasn't entirely sure as to whether or not I would get home on time, and I wasn't sure what I was going to meet when I got home.
Officials are blaming the significant delays on a number of issues, which Bahamas Air Traffic Controllers Union President Hinsey McKenzie telling our news team that the airport has been seeing record-breaking air traffic over the last 2 weeks. He also blamed the backup on insufficient staff and what he called the poor layout at LPIA, and added that the challenges were greater as some of the airlines had additional flights for the holidays. LPIA is reporting record-breaking numbers, with Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar revealing that there are in excess of 1,200 aircraft movements in a day. Our news got a hold of this chart that was posted at LPIA's taxi stand by NAT officials this morning. It shows airport officials estimate nearly 6,300 U.S. and international arrivals today alone, with peak arrival times between 10:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m.
I mean, the capacity was so big that we haven't had enough taxis. I was called in. Many taxi drivers was called in to help out. And there's so much in drove, we would have had to actually double the amount of tourists in one vehicle. Okay, just for the capacity.
Yes, the numbers have picked up. I'm going to admit that the number have picked up, but we can do much better than we are doing. And it is as a result of poor management.
As airport officials continue to get a hold of the holiday travel issues, de Aguilar said after the Christmas and New Year rush, stakeholders will come together to figure out how best to avoid a repeat of the situation. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Jasmine. National Security Minister Marvin Dames questioning the source of the information Canada used for its latest travel advisory on the Bahamas. Days after Canada advised its citizens to exercise a high degree of caution while visiting the Bahamas, Dames said he would like to arrange a meeting with Canadian officials in the new year. Kyle Joaquin reports.
The National Security Minister said after reading Canada's travel advisory to the Bahamas, he had a few questions, which is why he said there will have to be a meeting between the two countries.
We will have to sit with them and meet with them through our Ministry of Foreign Affairs and see exactly how they would have come to this point.
Canada's advisory to the Bahamas urged Canadians to exercise a high degree of caution because of what it called high levels of crime in Nassau and Freeport. It also warned of purse snatchings, sexual assaults, and even being ripped off by taxi drivers.
I don't know what their advisory is based on. It could be based on one incident. It could be based on perception.
The National Security Minister pointed to the noticeable decrease in crime, particularly murder and armed robberies. Then there's the warning to the LGBT community. The advisory said those in that community should carefully consider traveling to the Bahamas as homosexuality is not widely socially accepted. Dames said that claim needs to be looked into as well.
Our Ministry of Foreign Affairs will sit with them and see how they would have come to where they would have come. I mean, I can't comment on, that's their view. Again, what is it based on? Is it based on statistics? Is it based on evidence? Or is it based on this perception? I don't know, but we'll have to determine what it is.
Dames said whatever it is, tourism is the Bahamas' golden goose and can't be jeopardized.
So we want to make certain that those who are coming to our shores are pleased with what it is that they're seeing when they arrived here, and if there is any issues from their standpoint, we look forward to, through our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, look forward to working to bring some resolution.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Teachers and administrators in the public education system getting an extended Christmas break. Education Minister Jeff Lloyd said after noticing many of them work well into the holiday break, he felt it was only fitting to reward them with a few extra days off. As a result, teachers will return to classrooms on January 7th. That's 5 days later than they were scheduled to.
You would remember on December the 14th, the students left, and then the teachers had to return for the following week to mark papers and prepare for report cards. That would have brought them up to almost December the 20th or something of that nature. And of course, that's only a couple of days before Christmas. That would not be fair for them. And so we decided that we would make the adjustment. And again, as I said, I'm appreciative of the union for their understanding and their participation in this particular review.
Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson said the extension of teachers' Christmas break was a result of a meeting between union and ministry officials yesterday. For those who may be questioning the amount of time children already spend away from school, Lloyd says he is standing by his decision to give teachers more time to rest.
We feel that the number of school days in this particular school calendar is sufficient to cover the curriculum that is provided, so students are not being deprived. Now, if there's something that comes up, whether it's because of weather or whatever other, situations that may cause a delay, then teachers are committed, and they have done this over the years. Teachers are committed to make up that time, whether that is conducting classes after school or conducting classes on Saturday. In fact, many of those teachers, there are a lot of teachers right now. I mean, you could go throughout the school system and you will see that teachers are on campus on the weekends doing class work, helping students with tutorials and extra classes and so on.
A young man has been charged in connection with a recent triple shooting that left one man dead. Philip Michael Farquharson of Malcolm Road appeared before Magistrate Samuel McKinney today. The 29-year-old is charged with 1 count of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and 1 count of possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life. It is alleged that on Friday, December 21st, Farquharson caused the death of Elcartha Murphy, attempted to kill Maldonado Lightbourne, and attempted to endanger Archelaus Lewis Jr. with a 9mm pistol. According to police reports, 1 man died and 2 men were injured following a shooting outside a nightclub on Malcolm Road off East Street after 2 a.m. on December 21st. Police said the shooting was the result of a heated argument outside the club. In court today, Farquharson was not required to enter a plea and was remanded to prison until March 4, 2019, when he will return for presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment. Following its 4th place finish in the Boxing Day Junkanoo Parade, the Genesis Warhawks group asserted today its disappointing scores didn't reflect its performance on Bay Street. Group members also called on improvements to be made to the big parades. Jillian Gray reports.
Inclement weather and long breaks plagued the Boxing Day Junkanoo Parade. Nonetheless, members of the Genesis Warhawks said they did their best and thought the results did not match their performance.
Say what they want, Boxing Day. The general consensus on social media that Genesis won the parade. In our hearts, we won the parade. We went out there being new kids on the block, and we gave it our best. And I am super proud of our designers, our builders, our dancers, because we know what we did. And let me tell you, let me assure you that they did that Boxing Day. They won't be able to touch us New Year's.
Benarin Hanna, the sponsorship director, said whenever there is a forecast for rain, officials should be proactive in activating a plan. She suggested that the lull in between groups and blockage were due to poor planning.
When you have groups that are there on time and groups that came behind and some of them aren't on time, they like to throw shade. They like to throw the blame. But my thing is, in their defense, where else were they supposed to go? Where else we were supposed to go? So we have to look into, opening up more streets, getting ourselves and thinking about more than just a plan A. You need a B and C now. Junkanoo is too huge just to box you in.
Meanwhile, Genesis Parade Coordinator Nathan Taylor said the suggestion that Genesis should have been disqualified was unfair and a reckless statement.
Some personnel from the PMT made a reckless statement that the group should be disqualified. That part of the arena is not a part of the official parade route. So therefore, no penalties could be assessed. Furthermore, there were no penalty judges on the Boxing Day parade. So no penalties could be assessed in any which way, form, or fashion.
One family won the Boxing Day Junkanoo Parade, followed by the Valley Boys and Roots. Saxons finished 5th behind Genesis. Music Makers and Prodigal Sons were disqualified. Groups are now back in the shack preparing for the New Year's Day Parade. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
So to come on Our News, we find out your New Year's resolutions, plus Bahamian star in a new do-it-yourself network show. That's coming up when Our News returns.